Why some people bounce back and others can't. Have you ever wondered why two people who can go through the same exact setback can have completely different outcomes where one person recovers and the other person stays stuck? It's not about who's stronger or who's emotionally more resilient, you could say. It could actually be down to something called your explanatory style. It's the way we explain things that happen to us, and it might be a hidden reason why you might feel powerless in a particular situation. Let me explain further. So let's imagine two people, Sarah and Maya. They both went for promotions in their different companies. Both of them got rejected. Both of them didn't get the offers or the promotion that they were intending to get. One person, so Sarah, just tells herself, "Oh, I'm not leadership material. I always mess up." Maya, on the other hand, tells herself, that interview didn't go well. It just didn't go well. But maybe I can better prepare myself next time. Same event, quite different ways of processing what happened in from that event. You can use those two stories to illustrate what psychologists see as different explanatory styles. Let me explain. So there are two ways of looking at things, and probably in three different categories. So the first is your internal versus external. So, do you internalize the things that have happened, or do you have an understanding of the external forces that may have affected the event or your processing of the event? So, here's an example. Basically, the question is, do you think you are the problem? That's looking at yourself internally. So, Sarah, for example, blamed herself, saying, she's the problem, I'm the problem. But Maya saw external factors. Maybe I wasn't a good fit for this team, or maybe I hadn't done enough practice. In which case, there's something that can be done outside of it. But when you take an idea and say and internalize it and say you are, there's a fine line, but basically when you say that you are the problem, you are the, uh, how to explain it, you are, like, basically there's something inherently wrong with you. It makes it harder to see ways of being able to change. Another level, so the second level of looking at this is stable versus unstable. So stable means you believe it'll always be this way, right? So Sarah had the mindset of, I'm not leadership material. Basically, she'll never be good enough. Whereas Maya saw it as one area that didn't necessarily define her, but she also saw an area where she could improve and she could see a way of working towards it. She didn't just say, I'm not leadership material. Even if that may have crossed her mind, there would be a yet added to that. I'm not leadership material yet. So maybe I need to study more. Maybe I need to practice more. Maybe I need to get this sort of experience. But she didn't write herself off. Okay. So we've talked about internal versus external. We've talked about stable versus unstable. And the final is global versus specific. So global means this failure affects everything in my life, almost like, how people who can sometimes seem a little melodramatic, oh, my life is over. They have those sort of reactions to things. Whereas in reality, it's not your whole life. It's one aspect of your life. The fact that you're alive and well and able to, do things for yourself, that's an aspect of your life that's going well. The fact that you have people that care about you, that's an aspect that's going well. The fact that you have a roof over your head, that's an aspect that's going well. The fact that you are accomplished in a certain way, that's something going for you. So don't take one situation and then apply it to your whole life and say, oh, I am, my life is over. So again, if we're looking at these two characters, Sarah was more the, oh, I'm just a failure sort of thing. I'm not leadership material. Whereas Maya was more like, this is one area that isn't going well in my life, but it doesn't define me. There are other parts to my life that are still working. Here's a practical reflection I want you to think about. I wrote some notes. I'm going to read them out to you. It goes, so think about a time when something went wrong recently. What story did you tell yourself? Were you like Sarah or were you like Maya? And if you caught yourself thinking, this is my fault, it always happens, I mess up everything, pause. That's not necessarily the truth. That is your style of explaining the situation. But just like clothing, you can change your style. You can try new styles. And so change it. Try a new style and see what that does for you. You can ask yourself questions like, is this really about me? Will will this always be true? Does this affect everything? Again, these are questions that lead into those three ways, those three aspects of your explanatory style: the internal versus external, the stable versus the unstable, and the global versus the specific. When you consider those, you can start realizing that you can actually rewrite your internal story. And as a result, change the way you deal with setbacks and use them as fuel to make you stronger, as opposed to confirmation that you are meant to be in a particular station in life and you can't progress beyond that. I hope that makes sense to you. Let me know in the comments if you've had a similar situation where you've had to think differently, or maybe you are in a situation where you feel stuck and you want some encouragement. Let me know in the comments, and I'd love to respond to those. I find it's quite helpful to have this video up, but then it presents a point of conversation such that you can just ponder on these things and actually get help, maybe from a friendly person on the internet like me. So yeah, let me know. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you got this far, leave a heart emoji in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But yeah, otherwise, I will catch you in the next one. Take care.